Alright guys, this is Mike with Nerdfellas, and we have a whole crew here from El Paso, Texas, and we're going to be talking about Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, and mediator here is going to be Keith, because he's the most sane out of all of us.
And we're coming from Mayhem Comics in El Paso. Did you already say that?
No, I didn't say
Okay,
that, but we're here at Mayhem Comics, one of our favorite places where we all come and get our stuff here, so we're going to go ahead and get into it. There might be a comic brawl, so we'll see how it ends by the end of this.
It's going to be good.
But let's get into it, Keith.
All right. So we're just going to go down the line here, introduce ourselves really quick, and just briefly give your spoiler-free how you overall felt about the movie and why, without going into too much into details, and then we'll jump in.
Think
so
10 seconds. Think 10 seconds each.
Okay. Start off and we'll come around this way.
I'm from. My name's Josh. I'm from El Paso, of course. I saw the movie on Wednesday. My first thoughts about it was okay. A bit too long for me. A bit too choppy. Just to get to that climax towards the end. Thought it could have been done well, a bit more better than what I saw and watched.
All right. Cool.
Well, I'm Suhail, and I like the movie personally. I feel like the story's a lot more intricate than people are giving it credit for. However, I do feel like the introduction of other characters was a little muddled. Mm-hmm. But I think it's hard to do that, with so many characters coming on the front.
My name is Martin, part of the Nerdfellas crew, and I really liked the movie. I did do a spoiler review on my own channel, where I just went on a rant, but it's not not in a bad way. I really did like the movie. There's a lot to love, but then there's a couple things I didn't really love all that much. So overall, I really liked it a lot.
Okay, cool. So I'm Keith. In a nutshell, the way I kind of viewed it is when you first come out of the movie, you have your initial reaction, and then kind of a day later, you kind of settle in and there's more to think about. Initially, I thought it was okay. I didn't hate it. Wasn't blown away, but it was okay. And kind of as time sets in, there's kind of more stuff I kind of like have a little issues with. That's going to create some fun conversation right now.
All right. My name is Abraham Coronado, a.k.a. I am Ham7 Cosplay. And I personally liked it. I thought it incorporated a lot of material that I'm familiar with. There was some flaws in the movie that I can agree with the previous comments made, but they're not huge and not enough for me to be like, oh, this was a disaster, like everyone is making it seem to be. For me personally, I enjoyed the film, and there's a lot of things I did like about it.
Cool. I'm Mike, also part of Nerdfellas, and initially watching it, got to see it with my boy Josh, and I loved it. He hated it. We had a little debate about it, but really dark, really gritty, something I really wanted, totally in contrast to Marvel. So I'm a big Marvel guy, not so much DC, but seeing the Batman I've always loved since I was a kid. It was great to see Ben Affleck get into it. So I do put him up there as one of the top Batmans, and I think there's a lot to discuss about that as well. So we'll get into it in a bit.
All right. My name's Luis, and yeah, I love the movie. There was, I think everybody else, has been said, like there's good and bad things about it that I personally think about it, but I think it did a pretty decent job to setting up for what it is for Justice League, so it sets a scene for it.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool deal.
So
Yeah. All right, so that was just a quick little spoiler for you. Now just kind of just jump right in.
right.
All right, cool.
So if you're watching this after this,
Spoilers.
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 We're digging in.
Spoilers.
Okay, so let's just jump right in. Not to dwell on negative stuff, because we do have some stuff to say. Let's go on straight positive. What are the things that you liked about the movie? I know you have a lot, so we'll start with. You want to go jump right in?
Okay. For starters, of course, I'm a big Batman fan, and Ben Affleck as Batman, I believe he was born for this role. He did a great job as Batman. He made me believe he was Bruce Wayne and Batman. Cal or no Cal, he did an excellent job. Wonder Woman, oh my God. I mean, I've always loved Gal Gadot, ever since the Fast and the Furious films, but just this movie, it just drew that magnet, right to her ass.
Especially with those tight dresses, yeah.
Yeah, but it's
Sexy.
just the incorporation of, like I said, a lot of elements were incorporated from a lot of the things that I either grew up on or things that I've read, played video games, etc. A lot of that stuff was included in the film. And just Superman actually. A lot of people are complaining about him being too dark or whatever, but I had no problem with Superman. Mm-hmm. I actually loved him more in this one than in Man of Steel because he kind of grew more. Like, he was more grown into the role. And, you know, those are some positive things that I thought of the film, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say based off of Batman, they pulled a lot of the right things from different like Batman mythos. The fighting, to me, came straight out of the Arkham games.
Yeah.
The way he's jumping all over the place, he hits a rock bottom. That was cool. Everything that his mannerisms. Now there were actions I didn't agree with, but that's more writing. Like, it's not really up to Ben Affleck's portrayal. I feel like he was perfect, and it's crazy now looking back on how many people are praising him. A lot of people say like the best parts of the movie were the Batman parts. When you think of the initial casting, everybody freaked out, and it's crazy looking in contrast now.
And I feel like the same thing goes with Gal Gadot. Like, everyone was initially like, I don't know, I don't think she could do a Wonder Woman. But like, even I think this should clarify. Like, she'll play a pretty good Wonder Woman.
I did think it was a little cheesy every time they showed her and she had her theme pop up.
Oh,
I was like,
we got it already.
Get a little cheesy. Every time
Wonder
though.
Woman hater.
Yeah,
But she was awesome. I mean, even in like the ending fight scene. I mean, she,
Yeah.
you know, the
She
lasso
was
of
kind of
truth.
stealing
and
the show there a little
yeah.
bit.
Like,
Yes.
Batman kind of got pushed to the side a little bit when she came in. I mean, he's the human one. He kind of has to in that big fight, but it's just, I didn't expect him to be pushed aside that much. So much for spotlight.
But that's good
on
though
it.
because it shows how realistic it can be. He could have gotten killed easily.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, but he was ruthless, and I love that about it. I loved seeing one of my favorite things of the whole movie was seeing Man-Bat.
Yeah.
Oh,
I-
yes.
it
I
was-
didn't expect that at all.
No one expected that. He just
No.
popped out of nowhere and made everyone jump out of their freaking
I don't know if
seats.
that was Man-Bat. I just
No,
think that
that
was
was-
a...
I feel like
it
a little
was.
tease, like a
It's
little
like a
Easter egg.
teaser.
Yeah.
Maybe not
Because
have been particularly,
if you
but
think about it, even in like the Batman Forever, they had a huge giant bat.
oh yeah,
Didn't mean it was
reference.
Man-Bat, but I mean I didn't think this one was Man-Bat.
You know,
That
one,
was
one
my initial
connection I
thought.
can make though is that Black Blood that was coming out.
Oh.
That's like pretty much like relative to Kirk Langstrom's serum.
Yeah.
So that could be like an attachment to Man-Bat because like the blood that comes out of Martha's like
Right, the
grave
grave.
thing.
I
I
was
mean,
wondering
it
about
relates
that
it to
too.
Kirk Langstrom.
Right.
So you know that's why it made me think of Man-Bat.
This is
Yeah,
why
that's-
we have him here. He's the proof in the pudding. He's the pro.
Yeah. What about you?
I guess the positive for real is it would be the score after a while. You know, of course, Hans Zimmer is one of the best when it comes
Junkie
to
XL also.
superhero music. So I mean, it did take me a while after the fact just to think about the good positives. I like that. I did like that first fight with Batman when he's going after Martha. That again reminded me of the games. Throughout the whole, it's taken me a while again because like they said, they're trying to pull a lot of different elements from different comics. So it's really hard for me to see what kind of universe they're using. And even after the fact, they came out and said they're going to be an expanded universe. So that's a little different too. A lot of people need to understand that. DC is throwing it out right now is that it's a multi-universe thing. So they introduced it into the Flash. If you haven't seen the Flash, but I'll say it like that. If towards the end of season 1, that's one good thing is if you gotta know some stuff to be able to appreciate some stuff before just going in and just thinking you know everything. I personally can say I don't know everything about DC, but I know enough to be like, oh, okay, I know what they're trying to do.
You have a good idea.
And that's just something you got to understand. You can't just right off the bat come off the streets and be like, yeah, I know everything that's happening. But again, that one thing, it was really hard is just seeing Batman using a gun to kill people.
And that was what kind of
That was
kind of
during a
piggyback
dream
off that?
sequence.
Yeah.
Right.
So what kind of
Well, he did that. He did
Well,
that.
yeah.
yeah.
Well, what did you think?
Well, to touch on that whole Ben Affleck fitting the part, the whole time I was watching the movie, it's kind of hard to not think about Christian Bale as you're watching this.
Yeah, it was so
And
recent.
I was thinking that I don't necessarily like him more, but I don't like him less. They're like two separate entities,
Yeah.
and I think Ben Affleck, there's no way he could have played the Christian Bale part.
Oh no.
But there's no way that Christian Bale could have fit this part.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like both ways. Yeah.
That's exactly
because it's
what
like
I-
real world versus
Yeah, Christian
like,
Bale is really
comic book
grounded in
style.
reality.
And it's like, yeah.
I think what he did with Batman, it just, he made it his own. and it was a good way to silence all the critics, in my
Oh,
opinion.
yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Even
He
though
wasn't fit for the part.
Even though they came out with the whole Sound of Silence video, did you guys
Oh
see
my
that?
god.
It just he was just wearing his like emotions on his sleeve when they were like, "What do you think of the bad critics and or the bad reviews?"
You know what's hilarious though is that when he won an Oscar, he had that same expression, dude.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like he has that expression
That's
every
just
time.
his-
It's just like God, like he looks so depressed all the time. And,
Yeah.
And you know, and it's because he thinks about it, and you know, he was originally gunning for the role of Batman around the time of Daredevil, and he
Oh.
didn't get it, so they gave him Daredevil because Frank Miller also wrote it,
Right.
Yeah.
and then that was just a total flop. Everyone knows. it.
Well,
And
I
was
didn't
definitely.
hate it. I actually do like it
Oh,
a
all
lot.
right,
It's
Mark,
like
get
a
the-
good
nah.
cheap.
Learn the.
The Black Kingpin. I mean, it was.
You know what, Michael Clark Duncan is perfect, but
Yeah.
no, the
But-
Kingpin that we have in Daredevil now. That's
Honestly, I will say this though, I did like the unrated version more than the regular.
Yeah, the
with like
director's
Coolio
cut.
and everything. in
even
it.
that one.
The
was
director's
bad.
cut. Yeah.
But
So we'll kind of segue back around.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
go
well,
back.
let's go
around.
back to our topic.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll piggyback off of what you said, where the Batman killing. That's really going back and forth. There's
Yeah.
so many people have so many different things, so many different opinions
Mhm.
about it. On my thing, like I get it's a dream sequence, but I still wasn't really too fond of it because it's him envisioning himself doing it. Like he's just straight up grabbing guns, snapping necks.
What's his like his inner?
Yeah, and like it's almost as like what he can't let out. But if you see in the movie, he like people do die because of his actions.
Yeah.
With like say like the grenade or cars blowing up
Yeah,
and things
when
like
he was
that.
shooting
But
the
it's all
guns on the
indirect.
car and all that.
You know,
Yeah,
everything's
and-
done indirectly, but versus
Yeah.
the dream where he
Yeah,
really
that was-
does
that was
want
him
to
outright
kill.
doing
But
it.
I
in a
think
dream.
that's important though, because the way the vision in the dream is supposed to come off is that we're in this cataclysmic era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it has to be.
Right,
It has to be
it's-
something dramatic. It
Yeah.
can't be like.
It's like at the end of
It's
it.
like dire
It's
like
not daisies and butterflies.
To,
Yeah.
to add to that, I think like it's like that shows like that he was pushed to the edge already, and he's like he already fell off that edge.
Yeah, I
and
think
it's like
he-
you know
yeah.
like that edge like,
Like the whole
there's
world
there's
did.
no boundary line anymore. Like you either act or you die.
Yeah, it's for,
Yeah.
for
and it's like you know
Yeah.
that's
I thought you were gonna say you either be a hero or
Be a hero.
You live long enough to.
But like the real world, like the actual reality of it, where people do die because of his consequence. I almost feel like, I mean, I'm not extremely knowledgeable of Batman as much as you are, but to me, I've never really read a story myself
Yeah.
where he's so okay with it. And the way Zack Snyder explained it was, it's not murder, it's manslaughter. We're saying, like,
That didn't make it any better.
The only difference between murder and manslaughter is planned.
Yeah.
It's still
It still doesn't
a
make
consequence
it
of him doing it that
And-
Batman's not really known for, you know?
You know, it's funny because like I was actually talking to someone about this yesterday,
Yeah.
and it was about Batman and Batman Returns. And honestly, like if you think about it, in Batman Returns, when he uses that Batmobile to burn that devil guy,
Oh yeah,
he wouldn't. He's
Oh,
not gonna
he's dead.
survive that.
And
shit.
you know what? Even in the first Batman,
and in the bomb with the fat guy, and then he throws him in the
right.
well, yeah.
Even in the first Batman, he killed the dude off the bell tower.
Yeah.
And he dropped some bombs
Yeah.
in the chemical plant.
He literally kills
Yeah.
the Joker
And
by
the
tying
Joker.
his
And then you
leg
gotta
to a
look back
gargoyle.
at like
Right.
the other Superman with Chris Reeve, and he literally killed Zod.
Yeah.
And then Lois Lane killed the rest of them, and you're like, and it was all campy. They punched
Yeah.
him and ha
Yeah.
And then Superman comes in Man of Steel and snaps Zod's neck, and everyone's like, oh, he shouldn't kill.
Yeah.
And like the
Yeah.
Zod one, I didn't mind. Like
I didn't mind it either.
the way I kind of this is my personal opinion. Like I view superheroes as like a suburban cop, where the idea is to try and incapacitate without killing, but if need be, they
Yes.
will do it. That's the way I kind of
Yeah.
view most superheroes.
I feel it was like a necessity, like he needed to do that. Otherwise, it's either like he like totally murders that family.
Yeah.
It's like-
Now the destruction, all that. That's when I was like,
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know about that.
That's the thing I
No.
loved about Batman versus
It
Superman.
picks up off of that.
Picking up and
Yeah.
seeing the
Yes.
actual
Yeah.
destruction of it.
It did a really
Yeah.
good job of giving the ground
Yeah, I
level,
like
the
that.
street level
yeah,
view of it.
that sequence right
Yeah.
there. You see the plane like colliding with there, and then like you take it from an aspect of like a
Being on the
person
floor.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
dude,
then
yeah,
it was
it-
kind of freaky because, well, some people even said that was a negative of the movie only because we know that part. But you had to re-explore
You-
it. You had to
right,
see
right.
how many people
it was
actually
Bruce
got
Wayne's
It really-
perspective also.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That explains why, and I have a love-hate relationship with the fact that the movie is off of that, because like I was saying earlier off camera, that Zack Snyder obviously loves Batman. Batman was the shining spot of this movie, so I almost feel like he wanted to make a Batman movie, but he had to kind of pick up off of the Man of Steel criticisms because there was a lot of it.
Yeah.
So he kind of had to work that into the movie, and it kind of made Superman in a really different light than we've seen him from.
Mm-hmm.
So I have like a love-hate relationship. I totally see why they went with it. I kind of feel like they were kind of like pigeonholed into it though,
Yeah.
and that kind of maybe it might have affected it a little bit. With that being said, that scene they did it great.
Yeah.
Mm.
that was
It
awesome.
really showed his first initial why he doesn't like Superman. Now the rest of the world, all that stuff, they kind of I feel like it was hammered on a little bit too much.
Yeah.
But Bruce Wayne, his insight on it, they definitely nailed that.
Yeah, and then like being hammered into it too much, the whole superhero versus being a god thing, that
Yeah.
was a
Yes.
big subject about it. And you know, it's good to explore it, and I'm glad they didn't drop it, but I think they like you said, they kept going.
They
at
kept
it,
beating
like,
on the head of it.
Think about it, think about it, think about
Yeah.
it. And yeah, okay, I get it.
Mhm.
You know? And then I like how they had to play in Waters.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude.
That being so close to us, especially everyone in my theater was like, "Oh, what?"
Yeah.
yeah.
I thought that was cool. But I don't know. What do you guys think about the whole superhero versus god thing?
No, yeah. Like I do believe it was like too like being shoved down,
Okay.
like shoved right in your face. Like it's like yep.
But
yep,
I think that's
yep.
the only way they can really get across the point of accountability,
Mhm.
and that's what the whole thing is with Superman. Like with Batman, as we said, it's like involuntary manslaughter,
Mhm.
you know. But with Superman, it's impossible for him when he's fighting these colossal, you know, opponents.
He's the only one that
to
can contain
really say, okay, well, I'm gonna watch this child here and those two ladies that get smashed by a
Oh,
rock.
yeah.
or
Yeah,
whatever.
dog.
I agree with that because like there's collateral damage. I mean,
Yeah.
like, it's like
But with Batman, it's. I mean, he's not like this. He's not perceived as this god. So I mean, when he's taking out, you know, bad guys, it's more controlled. But with Superman, there needs to be some sort of accountability for what you think
Oh,
is
yeah.
going to happen.
And
I
he's the
think
only one
that's-
that can do it too.
And that's to me, that's the only way they could kind of let you know that that's the focus of Batman's hatred is accountability.
Well, and even going to like the court when he was trying to discuss how his actions like indirectly or directly affect humanity, and then the explosion happens. That was such a cool scene.
That's
I
one
was-
of the things that caught me off guard.
Yeah, that threw me way off. I didn't
Yeah.
think Lex Luthor becomes a terrorist, and you're
Oh,
like,
I was
he even
hoping-
kills one of his own.
I was
you know?
hoping she would drink the lemonade.
Do you think that was really pissing her?
I think so.
I think it was
Yeah.
probably pissed.
I think so.
yeah.
But I don't know.
Which is weird. Like it's a weird concept. Like in a Batman vs Superman movie, a jar of pee is a plot point. Like, it's weird, but it kind of made sense because of where this portrayal of Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Only this Lex Luthor would have done that
Yeah.
specifically.
I
He
think
wouldn't-
Jesse Eisenberg killed that role too. I'm not gonna lie. Some people hate it and love it, and I think that should be the next topic of
yeah,
discussion.
we'll go on that.
Yes.
But let's talk
Yeah.
about that next. So then we're gonna talk about
So-
Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor.
That was
So-
kind of another somewhat controversial casting. Not as big as Ben Affleck, but people kind of went on the fence about it, debated it. Now that we're here, let's talk about it. It was really different. Different doesn't necessarily
I
mean
thought
bad.
Kevin
I don't think.
Spacey is better.
Get the fuck out
No, get out, get out, man.
Where's that jar of piss?
That's messed up.
But at the same
Hey,
time,
real
it was
time.
it was almost like a Lex Luthor origin story in a sense, because at the end
Yeah.
you do see where his hair is gone, where he's looked a little bit more like rough around the edges.
How he felt about his family, how he inherited.
More
whatever.
But like, was this Lex Luthor or Lex Luthor Jr.?
Because
Junior.
there's
Junior.
this junior. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's junior.
Yeah,
So, then,
So that's another thing I didn't even think. About
like,
that.
well,
Yeah.
like, if you pick up where and he's all like, my father put the
The Lex
Lex
in
in
front
front
of
of
the
Luther.
Yeah.
So then that's why it had to be. The
Well, see, one thing for sure is you know it's Alexander Luthor.
Yeah.
I'm not a big DC guy, so I don't know that story of you know who his son is or what he portrays. And so it was very confusing because Alexander Luthor, and then we'll go back to Lex Luthor, and then you know one thing for sure, you know I'll be honest with you, I really didn't like it.
Yeah.
Again, I didn't know. I don't know who Alexander Luthor is, and
Yeah.
if that's
Yeah.
how he's portrayed in
Well,
the
it's like-
comics. But to me, he felt like a better Riddler,
yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah,
I've heard that a lot.
I
I can
actually do see that.
I can see
Yeah.
that.
and you know just because his enviness of Spider-Man. Sorry.
Okay, that's it. You're out.
his envy for Superman and Batman alike, and then you know where does he get all this information for Batman, and where does he get all
What really was his motive?
Well, he was playing them all the
Yeah.
whole time. He
Yeah.
already knew Bruce Wayne. He already knew he was Batman. He knew who everyone was, so he was playing them the whole time. And I thought that was kind of a.
But where does this all come from? Really?
Yeah.
Like for me, like where does all this come from?
Like
And
that
even
information
after
was
he,
missing.
And I was kind of upset.
even after the fact that he got the ship and he learned about the thousand planets. Probably that's where he learns about Doomsday, Darkseid.
Darkseid.
Yeah.
You
See
know,
again, Doomsday and Spider-Man. Come on.
Doomsday's DC though.
At least that one. At least they're both kind of connected.
But I mean, you know, that's my opinion. Like I wasn't feeling this Lex Luthor. I felt him more of a, like I said, what I see, I was like, oh, this guy reminds me of the Riddler. That would have been badass if he was a Riddler. Because,
Yeah.
On a side note, did anybody notice a Riddler question mark?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was in
yeah.
the trailer too.
Yeah, it was in the trailer
I was
too.
trying to see every single piece of that, and I couldn't.
I was trying to point it out to
Yeah.
him. I was like, hey, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
One
was
thing
when he
for
had
sure
the
I saw
spear.
right away
Yeah,
was the
exactly.
Parademons.
Yeah,
And the parademons I thought looked good.
Yeah, Parademons are pretty awesome.
Like at first, like on the far off, it's kind of like, oh, okay, it looks a little corny, but when they stand up to you, they're big. They look like demons, really.
They're freaky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're freaky.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I like personally with Lex Luthor, I loved his theme song.
Mhm.
I liked the way that he portrayed him. At first, I was kind of like a little too much. He almost pushed it a little
Yeah.
bit, and I was like, I don't know what he's trying to do. But then when he got like really, I don't know, Jesse Eisenberg really
Almost
controlled
maniacal.
it. Really
That
awesome.
maniacal, like,
Yeah.
like senile.
Like he was like a
thinking-
ticking time
yeah.
bomb, and I thought it was really cool. And I like the scene when he says, "Do you mind if I would change? My dad would mind if I changed one thing in this room." I thought he was gonna kill her.
Yeah.
I was like,
I was
"Oh,
like,
he's
man,
gonna
he's
freaking
gonna
kill her,
talk
make
about
put
painting.
blood all over the place."
Yeah.
But then he talked about the painting, and then I was
And then
like,
the fact that it shows it later on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Right.
it, like flipped.
I like that because he's hinting, of course, later on.
Yeah,
yeah.
we're
What's
gonna
to
take
come?
action.
Yeah.
What the bell that's ringing?
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then some people were even thinking, what if it's when he said he's hungry? People were thinking if it's him or if it's Brainiac. So I don't know. I mean, it could
Honestly,
be,
I think it was more dark side.
Dark
I
side.
think reference because like the what's it called
nightmare
the
scene.
nightmare scenes.
Oh, it has to be.
And then also like the fact that like he learns about the universe like from the ship, and then like that whole like he's coming, that reference in like comics and animated films and like the cartoons, it's
all
usually
the
for dark side.
Yeah.
So it's like that's
you
why
see
like,
the
you know,
Omega.
the Omega,
The Omega
symbol.
symbol right on the floor.
So you see that correlation when he's talking about he's coming and he's heard of us. Darkseid likes to dominate planets,
Yeah.
and it's like that's why like I was like, oh, it has to be Darkseid because it's like like
And then he had the Omega symbol there.
Yes.
So I mean,
that was a big hint.
And those are his parademons.
Yes,
He's gonna be a
Parademons
Yeah.
are
villain
from
in
Yeah.
the Justice League film.
And
coming
like
up,
with
so.
the parademons, that's almost like a love-hate thing for me at least. That we know they're parademons. Casual audience doesn't know
what the hell they are.
and it's kind of there's always going to be comparing to this to Marvel movies. It's inevitable, and I'm okay with that just because.
I think that's the problem with everyone.
Yeah, and like,
Yeah.
but the only thing is, it has to be the right comparings. Like, and this way, say like movie making comparisons, where Marvel makes the movies accessible to the general audience. This one was made for the comic audience,
Yeah.
which is a double-edged sword, because you're pleasing but you're alienating at the same time.
Yeah.
Parademons, no one else would know that except
Well,
if you have a friend that's with you that can explain it.
It's a good little. If you do know, it's a nice little added bonus for
Yeah.
you.
Easter egg.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then for people who don't know,
gives them
eventually
a
you
reason.
will know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Give them a
so
reason to do
it's
things.
setting up things, and I think that this is like one of my biggest problems with the movie, is that I think the reason that it got pushed a year is because the heads of DC or the heads of Warner Brothers was like, look, they already have 2 Avengers movies out.
Yeah.
We need to catch up somehow.
Yeah.
And I think honestly, Zack Snyder really only wanted to make a Batman movie
Yeah.
and Superman movie, not so much this whole thing.
yes.
Because that was
Um,
kind of forced into it.
Yeah, and that's I guess my biggest gripe with it is the fact that it was setting up so much, and a lot of it seemed pretty shoehorned in.
That's why I said it
Um,
was kind of muddled.
Yeah,
See, like I said, my hope was to see the Flash War.
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean,
I
I
love-
wasn't.
I like that little intro.
Yeah,
like, the tease.
yeah.
That
See,
was-
and
that
then
was
that
one
one
of my
again,
favorite
you have
scenes.
to know, but in my head too. Hopefully, maybe they're setting up for Infinity Crisis scene.
Oh,
Yeah.
He's going and he's one of the first superheroes to really a real hero to sacrifice himself for the greater good.
Yeah.
So is he is it after that fact, and that's why he's going through time and trying to warn him.
Some kind of like flashpoint kind
See,
of thing.
Exactly.
do you think it's Infinity Crisis, Flashpoint, or is it?
I think it's a
That-
mixture.
I
of
mean,
maybe
that's
it's
what
the
I'm
whole
saying.
version of it.
I mean, that's
It's
what
like
sucks.
borrowed,
Yeah.
like,
'Cause he had an
picnic
Injustice
stuff.
outfit.
They're
That's what
taking,
sucks.
they're taking
Yeah.
from more like from a lot of
And
different
it's
comics.
a lot even for regular. I mean, for a comic fan,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, oh, okay, it's from this storyline.
It's a lot in a
from
short
that
time.
storyline,
I mean,
from this
it's
storyline.
cool for someone who knows a lot about the comics to like, oh, that's from this is from that. But what I was saying with the little cameos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the biggest thing I had with it was, why are you gonna promote Aquaman so much when he
Exactly.
doesn't have any lines? And the Flash has more of a
Like-
scene than
Yeah.
anyone else.
Well, see,
did.
because they
Like,
wanted to like really shove it
I
down.
get
Yeah.
that.
So they
I
had
just
the files.
but just don't even show Aquaman.
Like,
you know what I mean? At that point.
What I
Yes.
thought with the cameos is like almost like a less is more kind of thing. Like you had to show where he sends Wonder Woman, where he sees like, who are you, where have you been this whole time, and she realizes it, And for me, like a less is more kind of thing, like where obviously she's gonna get curious, but if we would have just seen the logos on it, we would have known.
That's all we needed.
Well,
to
but
know.
Yeah.
we would have known, not like.
That's the other thing. I guarantee
Yeah, that's
kids
the
don't
thing.
know what that cyborg symbol was.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Aquaman.
No, but see,
Yeah,
that's
there
what.
were some people who were
Yeah,
telling me
that's-
they're
that's one of the
about
things
that,
where-
and I was like,
There's
no,
a
that's
couple
cyborg.
things
Yeah.
where I feel like you guys are talking about how it is compared to Marvel. See, the thing with Marvel is that they had individual movies to kind of bridge everything together.
That's because they have more.
They started in
time.
like from 2000.
because
they have the time to do
Right,
it.
You know,
they had the time to do
decided
it.
to
This
do
one's
it.
a little rushed, and I agree with that. But it's kind of like, okay, well, now he has to do it. He has to let everybody know what's going on. But for me, like I don't know a whole lot about the comics. I didn't read all of them. So for me, like what I like to do is when I see this movie, I want to understand it. So
Yeah.
I'll go and research, and then I learn about it, and it makes it more interesting to me, and
More
it makes me
appreciative.
appreciate it more.
Yeah.
So I think from like I'm still, a nerd at heart, but I don't know all the lore, I don't know all the
Yeah.
history, but I still make the effort, and I think that's a cool thing for an audience to do. Is like, okay, well, I understand that, so I'm gonna go Google it.
Start researching.
Yes,
Look
exactly.
us up. We'll talk about it for you.
Yeah.
And I think that was the intended kind of message too. Like the fact that you see these characters, you have no idea who the hell they are. I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty much what should make you think, oh, I need to find out who this is, and I need to find out why, like what those demon
Yeah,
things
yeah.
were. And it's like, it gets you thinking.
Yeah.
It's almost like after you've seen it kind of thing. It's not easily digestible at first.
Yes.
Once you look at it, then it makes sense after
But-
the movie.
See, and then this is my biggest beef with the whole film.
Okay.
Who the fuck made the logos for each of the characters and put them? Did Lex Luthor have some
Yeah.
guy create logos and say this has to be a Wonder Woman logo? And
Flash
let's give 'em all
actually
names.
came in and put it onto his computer.
Oh, that's
that
what
would be a
happened.
good one. Yeah,
That's
like you
right.
just zoomed in there and.
No wonder
Yeah.
he was there, and now it makes
Yeah.
sense. All right, thank you for clarifying. Okay, we can continue.
All right.
Yeah. But like, I guess the reason why I said like less is more on this is like those things. It's all set up. It didn't really pertain to this movie. That's something like you particularly see in like a post-credit stinger. I understand this one doesn't need it, but it's almost weird seeing it in the middle of a movie that it doesn't contribute to. So less would have been more in that case for this specific thing. Like with the nightmare sequences, it's a lot of I know what I should care about to come, but I really want to care about what's happening right now.
Right.
And that's where things kind of took
Well,
at the moment.
they had to give a little bit weight to what was going on right now. I think the visions kind of pushed him over the edge to freak him out a bit. Like, hey,
Yeah.
I don't want to get to this point, so I'm gonna do everything.
Maybe like
to
less
get there.
frequent would have been like good for me at least.
Yeah, no,
like
yeah.
a couple of them, just explain
I
why
agree
he's
with the lesson
cautious.
See,
Okay.
I can only remember two or three dreams. Like the one where he's in the desert, the one
Yeah.
where he sees the man bat, and then I guess
The
that
very
dream
intro,
within a dream
yeah.
because he wakes up and then he sees the Flash.
Yeah.
Because technically that's a dream, but not really.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a dream, but
No.
Daydream?
But was there a
Vision.
different dream?
See, that's one of my questions. Was it a dream within a dream, or did he actually wake
I
up
think
and
it was.
see this
it was
happen?
I think it was more of a lucid dreaming, but kind of awake type of state. It was more of a vision because when you
Yeah.
think of premonitions, sometimes premonitions you're not even asleep. You're
But see,
pretty
you would have
fully
seen some
awake.
kind of aftermath from it. So, does the Flash have a capability to visit you in your dreams?
He goes through time. I think
I
it might have
don't
not been
know.
a dream because the Flash does go through time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
And
he would
then
have
he
noticed
Could have
some
been
kind
like,
of
it altered the time afterwards.
Yeah, 'cause he
and
does
that's
say,
why
like, I'm
he
too
woke
early.
up.
Okay.
Like,
That's
so
one of the
then-
key things he says.
And
I'm
Because
too
he's-
early.
'cause he's
he
too
still
soon,
has
yeah.
the recollect of it though.
Yeah.
But like,
And he is talking about. So let's talk about what the Flash said. He was mentioning that Lois is the key.
He said,
Lois is the key.
you were right about him. Lois is the key.
Yeah.
Am I too soon? I'm too soon.
Yes.
Find us all, unite us.
No.
And then,
Oh, okay,
right,
that's
and
what
then
he
it's funny because all of us called each other a little bit like right after the movie. And we're like, dude, we gotta talk about this, and we
Yeah.
don't even say, hey, what's up? We just go, all right. So this is what happened.
Right,
And so
right.
that happened with me and Suhail. We talked about it, and this is something we talked about the Flash.
Yeah.
So what did we talk about?
So what I was thinking about this, and again, there could be a lot of flaws in what I'm going to say because I don't know the whole history behind things. But
Yeah,
from
okay.
what I was reading on blogs and forums and comments, is that the way I think that Justice League is going to go is that Darkseid is going to revive Superman and he's going to mind
Use-
control him.
Right, that's what I was thinking
And so
too.
I think that kind of fits into the whole, him
Got
being
the-
evil in his dream, as well as he's gonna have to unite the
Seven.
the seven to. I think we're gonna be fighting Superman in Justice League 1. and then it's gonna transition to the second. I don't know.
Right.
I could be wrong.
No, actually,
That'd be good because
and
I
I-
think they have to hold off on
Yeah,
Bruce
and I-
Wayne for
and
a
I
while.
like
and I
that
think
also.
the whole thing with Lois being the key, I think she's gonna be the one to kind of bring him back to reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like that because one of
I
my
don't know.
like
That's
questions was, okay, yeah, Man of Steel, like he was a all being person that was for the greater good. In this movie, it's totally opposite. He's viewed as the worst thing that happened to the world. How are you going to transition him back to being one of the most
those
integral
emotions
parts?
were
That-
back and forth.
that's
what
Yeah,
I
I
think-
love him. We hate him. We
Yeah,
love him.
but like the way he's portraying it, how are you going to go back to Justice League, where he's all of a sudden back in the team again when they just spent so much time hating him?
I think the
That
whole
would do
thing
it.
here was to kind of ostracize Superman
Yeah.
and make him seem like, oh well, maybe we don't need him. And I think that the way Justice League might go, this is just my opinion,
Yeah.
of course, that we're gonna see that we really do need him.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be like, okay, well, we have this whole team, but he's the one that's he's the backbone of the team. He's gonna bring everything together, and that's how it's gonna
Yeah.
play into, okay, well, now we finally have the team. We got the all-star finally back on the team.
Yeah, and if they were to go there,
And
that
I
would make
think
sense to me.
I think we might actually go a majority of Justice League 1 without Superman.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
that's-
bold move,
the
but
original
it's a bold
Justice
move.
League
I don't know,
Yeah.
because like at the
There's no
end, you do see the grain of sand just like start
Yeah.
to lift up. So
Yeah.
he is
And then
coming
in
back.
one of the comics, doesn't he get power from like flowers?
Okay, so
Here's the thing with
Does that
that.
happen?
he gets power from like.
no, he
Or
goes
like, well,
but-
since he was in Earth, he wasn't getting the sun.
The sunlight,
right.
he's in the ground, so
in
the
the
sun
ground.
is not hitting.
exactly,
it,
so how is it-
directly. So
Because
he,
of
He's
photosynthesis-
regenerating at a slower rate.
yeah,
but he's
because-
still.
but
because
he's still
gets
absorbing.
rays.
Like,
he's absorbing the like photosynthesis
Like the-
thing because
Yeah.
the
Oh,
Grass,
plants.
plants,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there you go.
sunlight.
Oh,
But
that
but
makes
at a
sense.
slower pace, so that's why it
Almost
takes
like
him
by
a longer
proxy, I
time.
guess.
in the
Yeah.
And then that was
comics.
vice versa from The Dark Knight Returns, right?
Right,
'Cause it was
right, right.
Batman and
Yeah,
Which-
Batman was in the grave, and then like
Right, and then
you hear a heartbeat, and then
Mhm.
like Superman's like, what the
So they
hell?
kind of did like a
Yeah,
like
right.
an
They
into
did
darkness
reverse-
switch.
reverse roles.
Right,
Yeah. Yes.
I
Spot
actually
switch.
really like that actually a lot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That the whole little
Yeah.
Yeah.
180 on that.
Let's talk about the ending because this is something that a few people predicted to kind of be in the like death of Superman. No one really knew for sure, but they did it.
Mhm.
I liked that a lot.
Right.
It's a bold
Death of
move.
Superman was
It's a
great.
bold
Super
move,
ballsy.
and they did it. And I feel like they did it well.
Mhm.
Now I was kind of afraid like if they do it, if it'd be like Amazing Spider-Man 2, where they kind of just shoehorn Green Goblin in. This one did a
Oh,
better
yeah.
job at it.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
I'll say this one did a better job at it.
Mhm.
That's really what kind of made me leave the theater satisfied.
Yeah.
Feeling like, okay, it's not that bad as I thought.
Right.
Because they did such a good job with your last impression on it.
The
Uh-huh.
ending for me, not that ending, but like the whole Doomsday fight. I actually really hated the whole Doomsday.
Mm-hmm. I hated the
fight.
fact that it was almost a second climax.
Yeah, I
That's
but
really my
I
problem with
like what I said in my review is that I understand why they did it
Yeah.
because they needed to bring all these characters together. But I didn't like the way he looked. I didn't.
Mm.
He
I
just
liked
came.
it.
He just
I
came
didn't-
in out of nowhere.
I didn't mind.
I mean, like I,
like
like,
I
I
like
know where he
his
came from, but I
evolution,
just
like,
I didn't
yes.
like that.
It
at
showed
all.
how he's getting power and he's getting stronger, so he gets stronger from
Yeah,
it.
and,
Yeah.
and you know that's one thing I like about it because that's the main thing about Doomsday. The more you fuck him up, the more like he evolves.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the more
And
like
I don't know. Like I think it did get a little bit too ballistic at some point.
Oh, it
because
totally
you know why? You know when he starts regenerating and shooting out his energy, I kept having flashbacks of Hulk with Eric Bana when he's fighting his dad, and I'm like just giant explosions and a bunch of like nonsense,
yeah.
and you're like, oh come on. But luckily they brought it back and they finally ground it in and
They made it more of like a
got-
personal
that-
thing,
yeah.
a little bit more.
The one thing about that is that's where one like the thing that I liked about that scene is that's where Wonder Woman really shined.
Yeah.
And then, like
Yes.
like holy crap, she's a badass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she just jumps
she
in
could
there.
totally
Yeah.
kick ass.
and she's
then-
getting her ass kicked and smiling.
right,
Yeah.
but
Brushing it off.
But also it kind of like it's like Batman was just running away the whole time because he can't do
What
much.
else could
Well,
he?
yeah.
The only thing that he did
I
was
would have ran away too.
Well, right.
If I'm the only human,
Yeah, but it just for me it kind of undermined him a little.
well if you
I
he
get
got pushed to the side
I
a
get
little
it
bit for
why,
Wonder Woman's
but I mean,
spotlight.
yeah, I like with the one thing with my biggest criticism with Gal Gadot or Gadot, whatever. She's not a very good actress. Like some of those
accent's all
lines are
With
no,
that
no,
booty,
I don't
she doesn't
mind.
need that.
I don't.
With that body.
I don't mind the way she looks, and I think the action scenes are awesome, but the acting and the accent's great, but
That's
the
what caught me
acting
off
is
guard.
pretty wooden. Like it.
I would
it-
say
it
she was
pretty-
the least. She wasn't the strongest in the film.
No, but I also
For
didn't
sure.
hate it. I think if they work with her, she could be a better actress.
Yeah.
Especially with the new movie coming out. They have
Honestly,
to
yeah.
do
I'm
that.
worried
She has
about
more
the
to
new
work
movie.
with.
They
She's
definitely
still
have
fresh
to.
to the acting scene, though. I mean,
Yeah.
Fast and
Yeah.
Furious, that was
She hasn't
her
had her
first
chance to
movie.
That's
shine.
true.
So
Right.
She has
maybe
more to
like,
work
like
with
she
coming
needs
soon.
to have her own like she hasn't been able to have her own film, and this is her first time ever that she's gonna have one.
Yeah,
And
that's
she's-
kind of
she's
that's
been
kind of
like a
scary
side
too.
It worries me
It-
because like I feel like okay, for some reason this is a little bit touching on Marvel, but like when the first
going
Thor
to.
came out, I was like I saw it and I was like whatever, and I feel like that's gonna be Wonder Woman. It's gonna be like
Yeah.
who cares, because it's kind of too old, too mythological, whatever. But they're gonna bring her back into Justice League, and that's why we want to keep watching. So we're gonna
Yeah.
keep going. We're gonna pay to see all this
See,
stuff.
the good thing about that though is that since she's female, it's gonna bring in a whole new audience.
Oh,
yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah.
which is- it's gonna play on a whole different demographic, which I think is great.
That is
Yeah.
true.
Honestly, to add to that though, I mean, she's got a very good director in Patty Jenkins.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think like she can pretty much show her like what's up, like what's the deal, and I think that's gonna help her shine. And it's probably gonna improve her acting working with a very good director, especially a
and then working
female
with like Chris
director.
Pine on as a side.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, because he's also in the photos,
Yeah, in
which
the
is kind of cool
photos,
seeing
yeah.
him, you know.
yeah.
So seeing because the whole plot in there also, there's so many plots going on, but one of them is Wonder Woman's there specifically just to get a photo that Lex Luthor has. We don't know how he really got it, but we just know that he
Flash put it
possesses
there.
it. Flash is the problem.
Flash is the key with everything. It's all
He's the
here we
key.
go. Here we go.
Yeah.
here
He
we go.
lied.
So okay, so we talking Wonder Woman. Let's talk about a little bit before why she got there and what brought them together. Martha. How do you guys feel about that? Personally, all along I thought it was kind of just like a fun fact in comics. I was thinking like really that's what it was, just because I didn't view it as a big
So,
deal in
I will
comics.
say I didn't even realize it until they said it. Like when Batman's
Yeah,
choking him and saying, "Why'd you say that name?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh wait, they're both Martha."
Well,
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
So like we watched it with one of our friends, David, the the manager here at the shop. The thing that he said right after he said that is like, did we just become best friends? Yup. And that to me was kind of cheesy, and I'm like, real? That's why you're gonna not?
Fight anymore?
That's
Yeah.
Martha's like a super generic,
Yeah.
like very common name. You know what I mean?
And
so
you know, I kept trying to like tie it back. Like, you know what? Martha was one of the biggest like things that haunted Bruce. Like his mom died. She died even more brutal than the father did. And he keeps thinking about her. And every time there was a scene looking at their graves, you see
Yeah.
Martha's name.
Like
Right.
flowers
Well,
covered
no.
Thomas
What I,
Wayne.
what I think
in
this
some
whole
way,
plays
yeah.
into is the fact that this is, I mean, his parents being murdered is the reason why he is Batman.
Right.
So the whole plan of Martha is kind of like, oh, well, I couldn't prevent it then, but I can stop it now, which kind of is further
Redemption
Yes.
for him.
emphasized
Yeah,
when he
that's a
tells
very
him,
good
"You
point.
have my promise
Yeah, that's-
that Martha
yeah,
will
exactly.
be alive." So it's kind of like, oh crap, you know, I couldn't do anything about that, and he has that montage of his parents being murdered over and over.
Yeah.
But he's like, you know what? Now we can stop it. We can prevent.
We
one
can at
more
least do
from being
this.
killed.
But then I also feel that like it also like kind of snaps him out of it because the whole point he was like just already full bent on like no
Just
I gotta
taking
stop
him
it.
out.
I gotta like
And from there, it also helps him, you know, relate with Superman on a human level. That,
Yes.
hey, that's my mom that's going to be killed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So that's when he saw like the first sense of it, because the whole time he thought he was getting notes from Superman saying, "You let your family die" or whatever. Or,
And it was Lex.
And so and it was Lex the whole time, you know, playing both of them. The thing that bugged me though is yes, there was that sympathy, and that's what linked them finally, and they became best friends or whatever. But the thing that bugged me was that it happened too quickly, which is
Yeah.
fine because it's already a 3-hour
Yeah.
film, fine. But it happened too fast, and Batman couldn't have put it together like, oh wait, Martha, okay, that's our moms. We can save this Martha this time. And yes, it was Lex behind the whole thing. You know, he couldn't have put it all together so quickly to where they
Yeah.
became best friends.
So that's
Superman
why I'm
died.
really interested in seeing the director's cut. You know, the 3-hour
Yeah.
cut
Yeah.
that's gonna come out. We're gonna see what got cut out.
It's gonna have
because-
more room to
Yeah.
breathe.
Because you know what, like I just started remembering what the very first image of the Batman vs Superman movie was a shot of the football team playing Metropolis and
Yeah,
Gotham.
that wasn't
and
even in it.
that wasn't even in it at all.
They briefly mentioned it.
It was
I
on
don't
TV.
even know.
It was on
Was
the
it?
TV on the
Oh,
side.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
TV
I didn't,
spot.
I
It's
didn't
such a
notice that.
minor detail.
No, right, but like, so there's like so much that they cut out because there's also Jenna Malone.
Yeah.
Yes.
That we don't know who she's playing. People
Well,
say Barbara
Actually,
Gordon.
she's Barbara because Warner Brothers actually spoiled that because they did a poll, and Jenna Malone was put as Barbara, and
Really?
and on the
Yeah.
casting she's under Barbara now.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's like because they did a poll. They did a poll already on
Okay.
like a.
I'd
Yeah.
love to see her as
Post Killing Joke.
Carrie.
That's
Uh,
Kelly.
Is it Oracle or Batgirl?
Oracle is Barbara Gordon.
No.
Yeah,
It's
like, which
it's
one?
Oracle,
Is it
not
She's what
Batgirl.
she gonna do?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Post killing joke. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
post
Oh, right, right.
So we've all, no matter how much you like this movie, almost everyone has issues with it.
Okay.
Let's go there because this is probably where it's gonna get fun. Some issues for some of us aren't gonna be for the other. Probably me specifically.
You should start then.
Yeah. My biggest issue with it is the editing and the pacing of it. Like this movie's
No,
Yeah,
it
I-
was
I-
better. It
I
was
didn't
good.
like it.
Yeah, I agree with
It's
that.
too long.
Dude, it
Like,
was way.
too
The
choppy.
pacing
Okay.
everything was way worse than Man of Steel.
I didn't mind the
That's
the
always
length.
Snyder's style, though. He always
It
has
is.
it paced that way.
It is,
like
but like this movie, they finished filming it over like a year ago. To me, like it was obvious that like you can see where it's edited like crazy throughout this time. That there's moments where you see them where Batman has the light up and Superman's in it, and they're staring at each other, and you're thinking like, okay, it took a long time to get here, but we're here. They're gonna go at it, and then it cuts to something else, and you're like, wait, no, what? They're finally starting. Go back. You're not. Okay, now you're going. Okay, now we'll get back into it. And then it kind of cuts out that moment of like that build up and anticipation that was finally there. Now,
Yeah. I agree with the editing was all over the place.
Yeah.
I think, especially toward the end, because the beginning was great.
Yeah.
I actually really liked the beginning, but once it started trying to like, that's why I think there's just so much in here where I feel like they didn't have to have all this stuff in there, but because you had to have all these different elements in it, like okay, we have to show this. No, now we have to show this. And then, okay, go back here, and then so that's for me. That's why I didn't like the editing. It felt very.
I
choppy.
think that can be a matter of perspective too.
Yeah.
I think it can also help you realize how dire the situation is and how many things are going on at once too. So I don't know.
Yeah, like kind of like switching to different perspectives. Like it's like this is Bruce's, like
Right,
it's talking about
right.
Bruce's perspective, Clark's perspective, and of course Lois.
and
because
they're
it
going
shows
to
a
be
lot of,
different
like,
perspectives. So
Yeah.
then it's going to be differently, like coming out at the same time. Like so, like it could be a scene where, like like when Superman goes over there to the mountain, he's talking to his dad. It's showing how he's conflicted of like being a hero
That was a
and all
cool
those.
scene.
Yes, I
An
love
unexpected scene.
Yeah.
Too.
So
Yeah.
then like it'll switch from that towards something else. But you see, they're not going through the same thing. They're not conflicted. They're not sure. But he had to touch base on how he's like kind of like finding himself. Like
Yeah, and I like how he like even with like Kevin Costner being there, he's explaining the whole mass situation of based on his story with how they stopped the water, but they killed the horses by accident, and how the screams haunted him. And it's like, well, that's what's going on with Superman. Superman's trying to do one thing but causing another, and he doesn't mean to, and it's just something so cataclysmic that he's trying to do. And Batman sees that as a problem. But I don't know. I like the pacing of the film. I liked it way better than Man of Steel because Man of Steel just felt too fast. Even if it was like really long, I felt like we had too many flashbacks in that one compared to this one because they kept referencing at least some of it, like the whole montage in the beginning. They showed pieces of it throughout the film, which is fine because it kind of taps into like Bruce Wayne's train of thought. This is what's always driving him.
Yeah.
Even having like the Robin suit always kind of driving him.
yeah.
So and then that was like really the only hint of the Joker. There's only two hints of the Joker, which kind of I thought was misleading with the trailer because we thought all those
Yeah.
notes were the Joker.
Yeah.
And that's kind of one of the things that pissed me off. I was kind of like, damn, I want to get more of the Joker in this. We have to wait till
Yeah.
Suicide Squad, But
or maybe the edit, like
Yeah,
it could be the rated R edit.
That's
Yes.
the way they edited it,
Yeah.
where it was,
Which is awesome. I'm glad that you're gonna have a rated R edit. So
Oh,
that's
yeah.
gonna be cool.
It's a weird concept for me to rate Superman in a rated R movie, but I'm not opposed to it. It's different.
All right, so let's continue to talk about
Yeah.
that.
So, now you just brought up when he sees Robin sue with Joker. There, one of the things that caught me off guard, this again with editing, is right before that he's talking to Alfred how he needs to bring the suit back, how he needs to break into Lex Luthor's house, and Alfred tells him you don't need the suit. He says, well, Bruce Wayne can't break in. He's like, you don't need to. Bruce Wayne got invited. So right there they establish he doesn't need the suit to get in. So why is it that right afterwards they show you the suit if you're not gonna get him in it?
Yeah.
That like weird little moments like that. It's like,
But that was a good moment because
Yeah.
he needed to look at the suit like he needs to let it go, but he also needs to look at Robin's suit and realize this is
Yes.
what's going to keep me going. If this is the best way to approach this is how I'm going to do it.
And
So
there's-
everything's
There is a
always
big
plan.
point too as to, he's getting old. He doesn't want to be doing that stuff
Yeah.
anymore.
And he has to get replaced at some point.
Yeah.
And then the one reference I love is when it's one thing I wanted to talk about too is when he's having a conversation with Jeremy Irons, which man he was awesome.
oh, he was awesome.
I love
Man,
that.
best Alfred ever.
Yes.
And he was like the techie, everything. But the conversation that they had when Bruce says that how many good men are left?
20 years in Gotham, yes.
20 years in Gotham. How many are left? How many stayed good?
Mm-hmm.
And then you start thinking, wait, so is the Joker possibly Robin? Or is Red Hood going to make an appearance? Because, you know,
Yeah.
he turned bad. So
Or did it already happen?
Or did it already
or
happen?
even somebody else. Like they don't have to direct.
doesn't
like,
have
they
to
don't
be
have
directly.
Stick, yeah, they don't have to stick to the comics.
Right.
The one thing about movies that I like is that they could take creative freedom.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because I really don't want them to be.
But you know that's what we want to see.
Yeah, it's true. That's
I want to
true.
see it.
I want to
Now,
see
maybe
Jason
that's
Todd.
what the Batman movies will be. They will be like prequels from what happened
Maybe.
there
Mhm.
before.
That would be
Like,
so
you know.
cool
Yeah.
in a way. Yeah.
And I just hope the
even
negative reviews
flashbacks
don't-
Even, that I wouldn't mind that either.
And I just
Yeah.
hope negative reviews don't make Ben Affleck say, I don't want to be Batman anymore.
I don't know.
No,
I don't think so.
I don't think
He's
so.
getting a
He
break
also
from the
had
movie.
thoughts of directing one.
Yeah.
So I was
Oh,
like,
no,
that'd
that's
be-
still-
When
that's
you're
still
making over
possible.
$100 million for a movie, you're gonna.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Not only that, but like no matter the negative reviews, he's the one getting the praise for the movie.
Yeah.
regardless of
That's
those.
true.
Almost every negative review said still said
Yeah.
Ben Affleck was the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
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 But what else did you guys not like?
Not like
Well,
we
I
kind
think I already
of
said everything.
Yeah, we kind of
Oh,
touched on
yeah.
like the
We've touched on
killing.
everything on
Just
that.
just the editing. I mean, for me, it was just too much. Like, oh, let's go from Superman to Batman, back to Superman to Lex Luthor randomly, back
Right.
to Lois Lane. Which
Lois Lane
for
had
me,
a
I
hard-
mean, that's just for me. I mean, overall, I rate my movies on rewatchability. That's me personally. Everybody wants to say, "Oh, it's so good, it's awesome," but can I sit there and watch the first Captain America over again? No, I can't. Can I watched this movie twice. Second time, I was like, oh.
No, well, the whole thing about like the Marvel fanboy thing, where people online are like, "Oh, you're just a fucking Marvel fanboy," this and that. Like, I don't think that could be used as an excuse, because that's nothing to blame it on. And honestly, like, the thing about the critics, I will say like two things. One is that I think they were like being harsh because they're looking for an artsy film like The Revenant or an Oscar type film, but you can't do that with these films because these are like different categories. And it's like, honestly, like I did see some reviews where they're like, oh, well, why can't they be more like Marvel films? I like the fact that they're not like Marvel films.
It wasn't
And
meant
it's
to
like, it wasn't meant to be. It was dark and gritty,
It's a
and
separate
Marvel was
entity.
more light. And it's like, like the whole thing about like Marvel fanboys, like let them be Marvel fanboys. Like, don't get that excuse out of the side. And it's like, like I don't think it's a good excuse to use.
Yeah.
Me personally.
Yeah, like really, like there's like a right way and wrong way to compare it to Marvel. The right way would be as if how do Marvel movies hold up on their own, and how does this movie hold up on its own? In contrast to each other in their own respective ways. Not necessarily this wasn't fun like a Marvel movie. It wasn't meant to be. They would have made a fun movie if it was supposed to be.
That's one thing that I did like note on like on my Facebook when I told people if they're gonna watch it. It's like, do not compare it to a Marvel film, or do not have expectations of a Marvel film. Like, it's like, like if this is a whole different thing. Like, it's
And even
not-
like Zack Snyder said before, he said this is going to be dark. It's not going to be fun.
You know,
Yeah.
And
what
then Justice
I
League is
thought is
supposed to be.
cool is like, I feel we're getting DC too late. I feel like they're so behind. But then when I finished it, I was just like, okay, awesome. Now I can be excited about when Marvel movies are coming out, and then we have this whole other separate entity,
Yes.
a whole
Yeah.
separate type of superhero movies that we can love as well. And
It's
so
competition.
Like, okay, so
Yeah.
It's
we have
competition.
we can enjoy two things at once that are
Right.
completely separate.
Yeah.
Well, see, there's a reason why they released it early. If you guys don't remember, they were supposed to release around when Civil War released.
It was
the
this is
same
a movie
weekend, wasn't
business,
it?
So
We're
why do
going
you
to see a
think
lot
they
of
did that?
similarities there too.
Yeah, it's gonna go back and forth.
So,
I mean, growing up watching wrestling, you had the Monday Night
I
Wars.
wanted.
Oh, yeah.
I see it the
No,
same
but
way.
I wanted to see
WWE,
that. I wanted to
WCW.
see Batman versus Superman open up with Civil War.
Yeah, that doesn't
That's-
make like money wise. That does not make any
No,
sense
exactly,
because then
They
Marvel
both lose
loses
money.
out
They're
on
making you
money.
choose.
The Warner Brothers loses out on money, and some people don't like. Not everyone goes out to the movies like we do. We watch all the big movies.
We're a
but,
vocal minority.
but to be honest, for like most people, they save their money and like they go out to the movies maybe once or twice a year. So imagine 2 movies that come out that weekend. We could probably only go to one. You know what I mean? So
majority of the audience, I think, would choose Marvel at this point just because they know they can go with it because they've liked what they've done in the past. This one, they're going in blind. It's a little bit more of a risk if they were to do that, but they didn't. I feel like it was the right move to move it up.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's why it's important to go there like without any restrictions, without like,
Yeah.
like that's why I liked how you were, because you went in there without any biased opinions. You wanted to go see a movie. You
Yeah.
wanted to see it, and you liked it afterwards. You didn't add restrictions to yourself. And that's what a lot of people do afterwards. They go in there with comparisons or anything like
Or
that.
it has
and,
to be this.
yeah,
It
you
has
know,
to
like
be
it's
that.
not Bale, it's not so and so.
Yeah.
So then, like, everyone already has a negative opinion of it. going off right at it. So how are you gonna like enjoy it?
And you should go into movies like this with
Anything.
little to no expectations.
Yes.
And then just experience it, and then figure out.
Yeah, if you like
which,
it.
which probably would have been like
Very
kind of
true.
part of my downfall because I mean I prefer Marvel, still love DC. I love DC in the comics more currently than I do like Marvel right now. Now, I wasn't trying to compare it to Marvel as far as going to it. I think I just wanted to like this movie more than I really did,
Mm-hmm.
and I came out not like going in like it's gonna be the best. I kind of knew I'd be wishy-washy just because of where I stood, but I wanted to like it more than I ultimately did.
At least there wasn't a big blue dong on the screen.
Hey, but at least we got Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Patrick Wilson. He was
You
the
did have Zack
president's
Snyder
voice,
casting.
You know, and then they were like cool little tidbits like, oh, you have Negan. There you have Jeffrey Dean Morgan playing Negan, and then you have
And
what was it?
then Lauren.
Yeah, she's gonna be
Yeah.
she's Martha Wayne.
Yeah,
yeah.
And you see them together, and you're like, oh, this is kind of cool. But yeah, that's kind of cool seeing all that. No,
Yeah.
no dongs though. So that's
Yeah.
especially Ben Affleck's. Don't want to see that.
Oh no.
Maybe Cavill's because he's pretty big. I want to.
That's a whole
They
other
don't
discussion.
call him Man
What-
of Steel for nothing.
Oh man.
exactly.
Yeah, just to kind of wrap up my last issue with it, just because I got to get this out. The more I hear like Zack Snyder explain his explanations, though, I think that's probably not the best way to explain it. Like saying like it's not murder, it's manslaughter, not the best way to explain it. Seeing that that Ben Affleck improvised where Batman cusses, and how he went back and forth with Zack Snyder, like should we leave it in the movie? I was thinking like you really go back and forth on whether you should leave Batman cussing in the movie, but you don't go back and forth on whether he kills in the movie.
No, you know,
Like,
what? And then I
those
think
are
it's
the-
totally fine about the killing. 'Cause
Yeah, like,
Batman
I mean,
did it
I
in
think
the other movie.
like it can be fine or not, but that's something I feel like should have more weight in the discussion whether or not he cusses.
Yeah, and you know, and I was thinking, you know, when he says shit, he could have died if Wonder Woman didn't show up, right?
Oh, he would have
yeah.
probably.
Wouldn't that suck if that was his last word?
Oh man.
That's
Shit.
what goes on the tombstone.
Done. No more Batman. 20 years.
Damn.
That's what's on the arrow tombstone.
His last final words were shit.
Yeah.
All right.
No, like
I guess we should do some ratings now. I think.
All right,
Yeah,
let's go
okay.
around.
Because
We'll do
overall
that.
we-
1 out of 10, we'll say.
Yeah.
Rating?
10 overall, yes.
1 out of 10.
I like 5, but we'll do 10 if you guys like 10.
Overall,
I
we-
like
we-
5.
Wait,
I like 10 because you could be more precise.
Yeah. Okay. So
That's too
here.
much.
So we start with you, Josh. We'll start with you. Coming this
Me?
way back around.
All right.
Scale of 1 to 10.
I gave it a say like 8.5 out of 10.
So you liked it a pretty good amount.
I liked it a pretty good amount because like all right, in like cinematic aspects, like it was a lot to throw in to try to set up for Justice League as you guys talked about it before, like the previous, like it's not once again I don't mean to bring up the comparison to Marvel, but they each had their own separate films before they could do like the Avengers. You
Yeah.
see, they had something like that. I like the aspect that it's going towards like, you know what, we don't want to wait till years later until we finish making all these films to make the film that we want to make.
Not
So
only-
we'll put main storylines that
Yeah.
will fill in the gaps and set up a story, like so
Yeah.
that afterwards.
And not only that, they'd be doing the same thing Marvel's doing. They got to do their own
Yeah.
formula.
Yeah, they gotta do a different.
because then
Which that
after
they're doing.
after Justice League, then it could just be like branched out.
Yeah.
and all that. And then so then like in like the let me see the cinematic aspect, like I like the shots that Snyder did.
Yeah. The cinematography was amazing.
Yeah, it's always
The movie
It's
looked
always
good.
amazing.
It looked
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he didn't play too much with the blue hue. 'Cause I always had a beef with that in Man of Steel.
Yeah.
But I guess if I had to rate it, like I loved rating on a scale of like 0 to 5. That's always been my thing. But if
Oh,
I
yeah.
had to do 10, it sounds bad, but it's still good. 7.5.
Okay.
Because it's not perfect. Batman really made the movie because that's, like you said, Zack Snyder, that's what he wanted. More Batman. And it was gritty, it was dark. Ben Affleck came and gave it his all. And yes, the reason it's 7.5 is because the rest of it is because it's missing something still. It was too much trying to be compacted into one thing. As long as it didn't turn into Spider-Man 3, then I was fine. So, and that's what it did, so it was totally cool.
Okay,
No
well,
finger pointing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and say like I'm in between both of them, so I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10.
All right.
And it's
It's
like
kind of surprising considering it seems like you like it.
Biggest
I really,
fanboy.
I really like it, and it's like, you know what, like I might be like 100% Batman guy,
Yeah.
But it's like, like, I'm not gonna give it a 10 out of 10 because that would be total fanboyism.
Yeah.
And it's like, like, I gotta at least like take some notes out of it, like that I kind of like caught, like I was telling you, like minor flaws.
Yeah.
Like for instance, like yeah, the whole Doomsday thing. Like when we were talking about Doomsday, I did think he looked like an orc from Lord of the Rings for a while.
That is true.
Like not the Ninja Turtle comparison thing. Like yeah, sure, okay, but I think he looked more like an orc from
Yeah,
Lord of
that
the
is very
Rings
true.
when he first came out of that thing. But it didn't really bother me to the point where it's like, oh, I fucking hate it. And it's like, but like that was like my one main little problem.
That's why it
with
loses 2 stars, because of the orc.
Yeah, the orc thing, and it's like, yeah, like I if he would have came out like when he started evolving, like with at least some spikes, and then when he evolved, he had a fuckload of spikes.
That'd be
I
different.
think that would have
Yeah.
been really
More
cool.
menacing.
Like more menacing,
Yeah.
more like that. That was my problem.
My beef is Hollywood's getting rid of the snout. I want the snout to come back. Like, bring back the snout. Who cares? Give the snout to the Ninja Turtles. Give the snout to Doomsday. Give it to
Yeah.
Killer Croc.
It
But
died with
whatever.
Jim Henson.
But
Jim
Yeah,
Henson.
oh my
That's-
God,
But he was a
yes,
that's
trademark
true.
or something. That's why you can't use it. Anyway.
But
Alright,
to
so,
just I'm
let's
just gonna
finish up.
wrap it up. Like yeah, like honestly, like I mentioned, I love Ben, I loved Gal, and it's like like the Batman and then the whole Wonder Woman thing, like that really impressed me. So like that's why I really loved it, because I got to see like these 3 in the movie finally.
Yeah.
And like it was like regardless of what other people say, it was a dream come true.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So my stance was, I'd say 6.5. I thought it was okay. Didn't hate it. I have criticisms, but I didn't love
The door's
it.
right here, man.
Yeah, get out, man.
The reason why is because like
The mediator.
kind of like, it's probably gonna sound like a little bit
Okay.
backwards from what you just said, but
Uh-huh.
I feel like I had to have more than just finally seeing them on the screen.
Okay.
To me, I had to go like a little bit more deeper than that. One of the ways I always go about superhero movies is, if you were to take out the comic book aspect, the superhero aspect, would it still work as a movie? And like I said, comparisons are going to be impossible to avoid. Like say like Winter Soldier, take out the superhero aspect, you still got a conspiracy movie, things like that. Take out Watchmen, you still have like
Big
take out
blue dong. and
Murder.
then-
besides the
A
big,
big
blue
dong and a murder
you
scene.
still have like people not knowing who watches these guys.
Right.
Without this movie, you need that aspect, or else it wouldn't stand on its own. Which kind of worries me about Civil War too.
Yeah, but I think like BVS turned into like a horror film almost. You know, and
Yes,
that's cool. And that's what they're saying. Civil War might be.
Yeah, and that's one thing I'm afraid of.
Freddy
for that movie.
versus Jason.
Yeah,
Freddy versus Jason.
and,
We all know how good that movie was, right?
and
It was good.
yeah, and not only that, but I like for a movie
AVP.
for a movie named Batman versus Superman, I feel like we've got more Bruce Wayne versus Clark Kent rather than finally seeing Batman in the suit versus Superman in the suit. That was a little bit short-lived, and it had the second climax of Doomsday. As much as I didn't like that it was a second climax, they did everything with that really good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's really in a nutshell, why I gave it a 6.5.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I give it a 7.5 also. I think this movie was very polar opposite for me, where there's some things I absolutely loved, and then there's other things that I just absolutely hated. And other things that kind of fell in the middle, like my bigger problems were Doomsday, honestly. But I think overall, what they did is set up a great world, and for future films. But that's also a negative part for me, is that they had to do that, when really it should have been a more
This story.
like a smaller scale story. And you probably still could have kept some of those other things in there, but just the way it went out, I didn't love the way it ended. But with the whole Doomsday thing. But overall, though, I absolutely loved Batman, Ben Affleck, and I'm like dying to see a Batman standalone film
Yeah.
Yeah.
directed by him.
Yes. That'd be awesome.
I'll be the crazy one and say 10 out of 10. No.
What?
I'm just joking.
11.
I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10 also. Some things that I feel that we're lucky as fans is that we get each actor perfect for their role right away going into this. We've had a lot of Batmans, you know what I mean? But as far as getting right into what I feel will be the all end all for Justice League, we have the actors that are perfect for the role. I think Henry Cavill's perfect for his role. He fits the build perfectly. We got the gritty, Batman that we need for this type of direction. kind of interesting that we don't have that busty Wonder Woman that people are used to.
Yeah, that's the disappointment. Lack of boobs.
But that's okay. I think she
Still
covered.
sexy.
She's still sexy though.
Yeah.
I think she blew me away. No pun intended.
Jesus.
And I just feel like we're lucky in that aspect. As far as not giving it anything higher, I think what would have worked for me in terms of cameos is how how it played out with, not trying to make comparisons, but in Iron Man 2, on the news where they showed that whole Bruce Banner situation, we knew it was him, but we didn't have that cameo.
Yeah.
Personal cameo, and I think that would have been a good way to
Nice
kind
little
of
touch.
It was like a less is more, like we were saying.
Right, and so that's how I think they could have done cameos a little bit better as opposed to just let's see them all. They're
Yeah.
there.
I got you.
Final review.
All right, Josh.
Again, for me, 5 out of 10. It's an okay movie for me. Again, I watch movies a lot. I enjoy movies. I enjoy the aspects of watching movies, and the thought of how many people it takes to make a movie. Again, if I had to sit there and watch it again, I don't think I can get through it. Again, too long, too choppy to get to that climax. This movie says Batman versus Superman,
Yeah.
and then again, I know they have that little subtitle, Dawn of Justice, just to throw it there.
Just throw it in there. to let
But
you know.
what it was 2 years ago when that first trailer dropped to Batman versus Superman, I was like, oh shit, like
This is Batman.
and then
versus Superman.
yeah, of course, right, and Batman, do you bleed? You will. And that was, in the movie, and I was like, that's it. I was like, what I mean? For me, I was like, come on, man. I mean, that's why personally I don't watch trailers because it ruins the whole thing, though.
But
Too
you
much
need
hype
to-
for me, and I don't watch trailers at all. I know you guys like to do reaction trailers and stuff, but for me, I think trailers ruin the movie because you expect more. The same, I'll bring it up with the Dark Knight. When of course the Joker, when he's all, here we go.
Yeah.
Again, nothing happened after that scene. I was like, and that was like personally one of my favorite parts, in that trailer.
Right.
But again, 5 out of 10. I enjoyed the music. Hans Zimmer again. You can't go wrong with that guy. I believe best Superman out of all Supermans. So he is one of the. I think he is a Superman. Batman again. I have to rethink about it. I mean, again, it's just too many Batmans in one Batman to be called Batman. If it was a Thomas Wayne Batman, then maybe I can be like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, that was good. So I mean,
Overall, again, and then the same with Wonder Woman. For me, Wonder Woman is more as Amazon, but you can't really find a woman like that nowadays.
Yeah.
So I mean, they did what for what they had. My favorite part of the movie again was towards the end when they actually had the Trinity on their screen, and it gave me chills because I know what the Trinity is: Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman, and that whole storyline in DC. If people know, if you want to look it up, look up the Trinity for DC, and you'll see a good storyline there too as well.
all right. Well, and I guess like a final note from me is like it's not 1938, so you can't expect something not as dark as gritty as it should be, like it is now. It's going to be a totally different kind of film going forward, and all the films coming forward. But guys, it was awesome. Thank you guys for coming in.
It's a good time to be a
It's
nerd.
cool. It is a
We
good time
got
to be a
a lot
nerd
coming up
So,
soon.
And
We're
also,
gonna
we'd
be-
like to thank Mayhem Toys and Comics for letting us film in here.
Lily,
Yes.
where is she?
Lily, come make a cameo.
Thank you for having us.
Come make a cameo. Come say
Come
hi.
make your cameo. Say hi. She
You got-
did mention that she only liked one thing, and it's probably the only thing she saw in the film. But come tell us exactly what it was
Exactly.
that you
What you liked.
and saw. Come over here.
Come on.
Come inside.
Bring it around the middle.
Come inside. Introduce yourself and tell us what you thought.
Real quick.
Hi, I'm Lydia here at Mayhem. So the movie was way too long.
High five.
And I'm really embarrassed to say this. I can't believe you guys are making me do this. I fell asleep.
Oh.
And I really only saw the ending of the films, and which was really the only part I really wanted to see. So I saw the entire Wonder Woman bit, and she's very beautiful, very Amazonian, and that was awesome. Very brute for a woman. So that was pretty cool. Very different compared to what's probably going to be coming out soon with Suicide Squad. Harley Quinn being very,
Right.
small and not really. Wonder Woman's doing it. She's doing a good job for women out there.
Yeah.
But there's my bit. Not that important. I
You
fell
saw what
asleep.
you wanted.
I saw what I
That
wanted
was
to
the most
see.
important part. That's the most important part of this whole thing. That's what we wanted to get. But guys, thank you
Yeah.
for being here. Thank you for having us here at Mayhem. Thank you, David, everyone. And so
So we'll sign off. Cool. So just Comment down below. Keep the discussion healthy, just like we did. None of us hate each other after this, right?
Not too much.
I'm gonna kill you.
All right, cool. So,
I hate Michael.
so go ahead and check it out. Go check it out. We'll see you next time. Later.